For those who don't know him, Graham Hancock is a British writer and journalist, author of major international non-fiction bestsellers, including The Sign and the Seal and Fingerprints of the Gods, and the writer and presenter of the hit Netflix documentary series Ancient Apocalypse. He began his career as a foreign correspondent in Africa, but for the last 30 years has become best known for investigating possible lost civilizations and, more recently, the role of psychedelics and consciousness in human history. Graham Hancock had come to my home city of Perth. He was touring to promote his new book, and the venue was packed. I was lucky enough to briefly meet him, and I very much enjoyed his presentation. He spoke about DMT and ayahuasca, and he had the whole audience laughing. I was laughing out loud with them. But on the inside, I was quietly considering something else entirely. The possibility of trying DMT myself. Then Graham told a story that stayed with me. He spoke about 3 beings of light he had witnessed while under the influence of DMT. He said the experience had frightened him. And in that instant of fear, the 3 luminous beings disappeared. He had not seen them since. He expressed real regret about that moment. He believed his own fear, faced with 3 bright blue humanoid beings of light, had caused them to vanish, to withdraw their contact forever. It must have been only a day or 2 after that presentation that I contacted a good friend of mine. A friend I'd known since I was a child. Someone I had no reason not to trust. He had some DMT. I was very anxious. My friend volunteered to go first. When it was my turn, my body was screaming for oxygen. I sat up, opened my eyes, and took a deep breath. The DMT was already beginning to wear off rapidly. But with my eyes open, I noticed something strange. The physical dimension of reality was interwoven and connected to the other place. Very much the same as the spiritual dream world, for lack of a better term. No more than 5 minutes, and the entire process was over. I've heard people say 1 hit of DMT is the equivalent of 2,000 hours of hypnotherapy. I'm not sure how accurate that is. From my own experience, I can only say that I found it extremely beneficial, almost liberating. Though I strongly believe anyone considering such powerful, mind-altering substances should prepare themselves both spiritually and mentally beforehand. I was left very curious about the possibilities, about the mysteriousness of that spiritual dream world I had now witnessed. And remembering what Graham Hancock had said about the 3 blue beings of light, it left me wanting more. So about a week later, I contacted my close friend again. I organized to get some more DMT and tried it once more. After receiving a small clip seal bag containing multiple hits, I drove to a different residence where a number of people I knew were waiting. I got comfortable and began preparing for another breakthrough. This time I would go first, as no one around me had taken DMT beforehand. I was a little nervous. I knew what to expect this time, and I was quite excited about the inner journey I was about to undertake. As before, I inhaled. I closed my eyes and lay back on the floor. It felt as though I fell right through the floor, as though I was falling. I wanted to look around, but my field of view was blocked. Something was right in front of me that I couldn't see past. As it came into focus, I was stunned by what it was. The fuzzy blur became suddenly, impossibly crystal clear, and what I saw is now firmly engraved in my memory. I was face to face with pure gold, half dog, half man. Nose to nose, I was staring into the eyes of a being whose face was like that of a wolf, yet undeniably a man. He was magnificent, as real as anything I have ever experienced. His body was humanoid. He had arms, legs, a torso. He wore a beautiful cape that flowed elegantly. But what astonished me the most was this. He was completely 100% made of pure gold. His skin, his armor, his cape, solid gold. He seemed to wait for me to react. He smiled at me, took a step back, and nodded his head, as if telling me to follow. If I'm to speak openly and give you my honest opinion, I'd say he was testing me, to see if I was afraid of him. Though he was quite intimidating and imposing, I was not afraid. I was mostly just in awe of what I was seeing. When I think about it now, I think about Graham Hancock's experience with the 3 beings of light who aborted their contact because of his fear, and how this golden being seemed to be testing me in the same way. I should also mention the incredible detail of his face, his armor, his eyes, his smile, the way he moved. the realism of his flowing golden cape. A little while after this experience, I came across a documentary about Egypt, about Anubis, the dog-headed god of the underworld. It is said that Anubis judges souls before allowing them to enter heaven after weighing their hearts, that you will come face to face with Anubis while he judges your life. Since that first experience, I've only returned to DMT a few times. The golden Anubis never came back. I struggle to explain him away as something my mind invented. Of course I had seen Anubis before, in textbooks and museums, in hieroglyphs and faded wall paintings, but I had never seen anything like this. He stood before me in solid, pure gold, cloaked with a cape, unlike any depiction I'd ever known. And the sight of him moved me deeply. What stays with me is what others have said too, that DMT doesn't take you into a private hallucination, like LSD might, where everyone sees something different. It takes you to the same realm, a shared place that many people seem to visit and describe in the same way. Whatever it was quite the experience. Facts about DMT. What I experienced is not uncommon. While every psychedelic alters perception, DMT has a phenomenology all of its own. DMT, or N,N-dimethyltryptamine, is a naturally occurring tryptamine found in many plants and animals and is the main psychoactive component in the Amazonian brew ayahuasca. It was first synthesized in a lab in 1931 before it was ever found in nature. Its effects are famously brief and intense. When smoked or injected, the acute experience lasts approximately 15 to 60 minutes, while an LSD trip can last up to 12 hours. When taken orally as ayahuasca, where beta-carbolines inhibit its metabolism in the gut, the effects are extended to several hours. Unlike LSD, psilocybin and mescaline, which quickly produce complete tolerance after just a few days of daily use, DMT does not appear to induce tolerance with repeated use, nor does it produce cross-tolerance to other hallucinogens. Researchers also note there don't appear to be withdrawal symptoms and no reports of physical addiction. Where DMT truly separates itself from other classic psychedelics is in what people see. Compared to other psychedelics, individuals who use ayahuasca and DMT report stronger visual effects, breakthrough experiences, near-death experiences, and encounters with entities. In large-scale surveys, 80% of people who reported an entity encounter on inhaled DMT said the experience profoundly altered their perception of reality, with 65% describing the beings and the realm as more real than typical waking consciousness. That sense of encountering something autonomous is far more common on DMT than on other substances. In studies comparing God encounter experiences, 73% of people in the DMT group met criteria for a complete mystical experience, compared to 51% for psilocybin and 48% for LSD. Ayahuasca was similar to DMT at 68%. On measures of mystical experience, the DMT group scored significantly higher than psilocybin and LSD on ineffability and transcendence of time and space. People often describe the same archetypes. Beings of light like Graham Hancock described, so-called machine elves, deities, animal-headed guides, and judges. Unlike the more variable, dreamlike imagery of LSD or psilocybin, DMT visions are so strong that having eyes open or closed barely affects what is seen, often marked by a complete breakthrough into a different reality with intense ego dissolution and time dilation.